Hey guys, this is Mashonda, and you know I got soul.
And I mean, just to even before we get into the EP, just to backtrack, because I know you had put out a couple of records before this EP even came into fruition.
Mhm.
Songs like King, for example, that came out
Mhm.
I think about 2 years ago. And it's always exciting hearing new music from you, but just kind of take me through the timeline because I feel like a song like King has kind of a different sound than what we're hearing on this EP. So kind of just take me through
Yeah.
that journey.
So I think at that time when I put King out, I was really just testing the waters and trying to understand how this new music industry works. Also trying to figure out my sound,
Mm,
and what direction I wanted to go in. When I did King, I did something that was familiar
yeah,
to the type of music that I grew up on. A good Faith Evans sample and a Mary vibe, and that hip hop R&B genre that I think anybody that grew up in the '90s was a part of. So that was like ingrained into me. But I also knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't something I wanted to create as far as like a whole body of work. Because what I had been feeling and the music that I had been listening to over the past maybe 10 years was more so world music
mm,
and meditation music and, artists like James Blake
right.
and these really like progressive contemporary sounds that don't only embody R&B, but there's also like this healing sound wave that resonates in their music. And I wanted to incorporate that into what I was doing because it just felt like it aligned so perfectly with what I was going through in my life and also, my healing journey. So with Note to Self, it took me years to to actually connect with producers
Right.
that understood what I was trying to say. I'd send them references of different songs and be like, "This is the vibe. Let's stay in this vibe." And a lot of people couldn't get it, but I finally connected with two musicians that I love who helped me put this EP together. So the sound was, mastered to the way that I envisioned it and I heard it in my mind. And what you get with these eight songs.
And it's funny that you mentioned, some of the stuff that you've been listening to over the last few years, because, from my point of view, when I listen to it, definitely very introspective, kind of like when I listen to it, I kind of get a piece of where you're currently at in your life. I do wonder though,
Hmm.
because you came from a time in the industry where it was very single driven, everything had to be a radio hit. And of course,
Hmm.
expectations for yourself as well as for other parties were different back then. Was it kind of hard to deprogram yourself from that mind state and say, hey, let me just make what I want to make?
I mean, I think I've been deprogramming and unlearning for the past 14 years,
Right.
everything in my life. So music definitely had a big part of that. Um, I think when you are unlearning habits and ways and trauma experiences, you're also unlearning culturally what you've been a part of for your whole life as well. May it be the way you eat. I definitely eat more healthy now,
Hmm.
or the things you consume as far as what you watch. I watch more documentaries now. I watch more learning tools now, and that also played into the music. So, not to say that I don't still love rap and hip hop and traditional R&B. I do. It's like it's my foundation. But I also wanted to embrace this new sound that I felt like was becoming a new part of me. So I always refer to Note to Self as like a new era for me because that's what it sounds like. Lyrically, it sounds that way. Melodically, the production, everything is like brand new for me. So it wasn't hard to unlearn what I was accustomed to musically because I just think it was naturally something I was doing anyway.
And I'll tell you what, the record Complicated, I love that you put that one out. That's definitely one of my favorite because it has a familiar sound to it. It has sort of a Prince inspired vibe, but
Yes.
you put your twist to it. You make it a Mashonda record. Like, just talk about that one because I felt like that was the perfect entry point to, the Mashonda that we grew up loving to where you are in your life now. Like, just talk about creating that one.
Awesome. So yeah, when the producer sent me the track, I was like, yeah, this is my homage to Prince for sure. And then as soon as I started writing it and melodically, I just kept thinking of like, my Purple Rain moment. This was it. I've always wanted to do something dedicated to my experience as a child, a young adult growing up on Prince. And Complicated is it. It's full of that emotion, that dark, sexy, edgy, sensual rock star, vibe, but it's also vulnerable. And he was vulnerable. He was super vulnerable and transparent. And that's what made him the iconic legend and artist that he is. So Complicated is also my favorite song on the EP. It's definitely one of the most significant records on the EP. All of the records mean something to me and an experience or relationship that I've been in over the past 10 years, but Complicated was definitely the most complicated relationship that I think I've experienced over the past 10 years. And I'm definitely speaking to someone directly. And I think that's what makes it so relatable to people because it's a universal theme. We all end up in these relationships that we just can't figure out, but we also can't leave it alone. And that's what Complicated is.
Right. And I gotta commend you on this because along with the music, which, a lot of people love, it's also the visuals that you brought to the table. And that really let me know like Mashonda's really taking this music thing seriously because you've been away from it for so long. But it doesn't
Right.
look like you're taking any shortcuts. Like you really wanted to present this in the right way.
Yeah. No, this is my body of work. This is my legacy. This is something that I've dreamt of doing for many years, and I felt like, I work and I make money so that I can do this. I every artist understands how expensive it is to create. You can have an idea about a song and you can have the lyrics and you can even have like a producer that won't charge you for the beat, but you still have to pay to go in and record. You still have to pay to get it mixed. Then you still have to pay for your visuals and now you're paying all this money for a video and editing and a publicist, a
Right.
marketing person. So it's a never ending payout. So once you commit, you commit. And I knew that I wanted to give the world something that meant a lot to me. I created music that I wanted to hear. I never cared about if it would do well or if it would trend or, if it would be on the radio. I really just wanted to give the world something that I created, that I love, and that I love listening to. I listened to these records for 2 years straight
Right.
before I put it out. So this is a very personal project.
And, some of your previous music, definitely, like I said, a lot more radio driven, single driven. This stuff definitely hits home. It's
Hmm.
super personal. Was there any fear in putting this music out because you were giving so much of yourself to the world? Because it's a different type of
Hmm.
music, and it's like you said, you're investing your own money into it. You're the CEO of your own business. Like, was there a fear
Hmm.
there of putting that out?
Of course. For a hot 2 minutes, though.
Yeah.
I'd say like for the week leading up to release, I was like, oh my God, I'm giving my child to the world. It's like I'm sharing my stories, my experiences, and then it's like you just don't care because that's kind of what we do it for. We do it so that we could share it. Um, the music that I was making before did not represent me. It
Right.
wasn't who I am. And, you know, I did it because I was told to do it.
Right.
And that's what happens when you're signed to a label. I did it because they made it seem like it would be the best thing to do, but it never sat well. It never felt right. I never felt like I was a part of it. Um, and so with this music, it's 100,000 million gazillion% Mashonda. It is my soul. It is my life, and it's also, you know, you're getting a chance to witness the evolution, a human evolution. And a lot of people know my story. They know where I come from. They know what I've gone through, and now they get to see the parts of me that, you know, the media never spoke about. So I love that. I love that about artists. I love that, you know, we get to create these things and then share them and then potentially help other people, you know, in their lives.
And as I listen to this project, the one message that I take away from it is, and I think it's what you want to present to people, is that, you know, we're all, no pun intended, complicated. Nothing is linear, and it's just cool to
Hmm.
hear it and to see like, okay, well, Michonne is going through the same things that we are. Like, is that kind of what you wanted to present to the world?
Yeah, yeah, I'm no different. You know, it's like that's just like, you know, it's human intelligence. I mean, emotional intelligence, and just knowing that we're all the same, no matter what. You know, we all go through these things, no matter how high up you are, or how low you may feel. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Everybody.
Mashonda, I want to backtrack here to your debut album that came out, January Joy. I know that was many, many years ago, but just looking
Oh
back
my
at that,
God, November 9th.
right,
November 9th, the other day, made 17 years. I posted happy
exactly.
birthday on Instagram. Yeah.
Absolutely. And looking back at that, I know you're at a different point in your life now. That was, you know, a different part of your career. But when you look back at those moments and some of those high moments and even some of those disappointments, like, what did that experience, you know, do for you as a person today? Having the album come out, maybe not doing how you wanted it to, and now looking back at it, like, how did that kind of shape you into who you are today?
I mean, I'm resilient, you know. My bounce back is crazy. My sister always says it. I'm like the most relentless person she knows
Right.
because I don't give up on myself. And when I want something, I go super hard. It's like my superpowers are like manifesting what I want. So I think that, you know, January Joy was, it was a, you know, it was a first step when a
Yeah.
baby learns to walk. It was that. It was my first step. And and now I feel like, you know, I could run marathons, and it's because of all the knowledge that I learned from 17 years ago to now. That's crazy. It's like a lifetime ago when you think about it. So I don't regret anything about that album or that time. You know, I got to be around some of the greats like Clive Davis and made records with some amazing producers. So it is what it is. You know, it's just one step that led to another, and now I'm here. So I feel super blessed, honestly.
Right. And that album did have a lot of great records on there, and it's definitely something
Yeah,
people can go back and listen to, and then just see the growth when we, you know, lead up to Note to Self. But Mashana, I gotta
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
as we talk about, you know, some of the ups and downs in your career, I always feel like the coolest thing about you is that you've always known when to pivot to one thing to another. You know, it's not just about
Mhm.
music for you. You're an author, you're a
Mhm.
writer. Like, and that's something that we see now for a lot of artists are realizing that being an artist is more than just making music. It's creating a brand and creating a legacy. Like, how did you figure that out? Because
Yeah.
you did that early on.
Oh yeah. I feel like, all right. So the pivot is important. Every creative mind, every artist, whether you are a painter, a chef, a musician, a designer, you have to know when to step back and get into something else to keep your mind going and to keep your mind and the juices flowing. Because if not, that energy becomes stagnant. And then I feel like that's when, you know, those words that I don't like depression and anxiety and all these things creep in. So I've always managed to just explore this world and explore myself as often as possible and to never give myself one title. I understand some people they're so involved in being a quote unquote artist that that's the only thing they could wrap their mind around. And when that artist thing isn't working for them, they feel like they're drowning because that's all they believe that they are. I know I'm so much more than just a musician or a singer or a songwriter. There's so many things that I love to do and that I can do and that I have done. And I guess that's pivot culture. That's what we've created this new term now
Right.
to explain how to bounce from one version of yourself to another. I feel like I'm many different women, and so I have to like make sure that every woman in me is satisfied creatively. And so I think that's what I've been showing the world for the past, gosh, 15 years.
Where do you see your career going from now? Like you've put out this new project, and I think that definitely has fulfilled the music side of things. Do you see yourself continuing to put out music, or do you see yourself continuing to find, new ventures and, exploring different avenues?
No, I love putting out music. I do. I want to do one more.
Yeah.
Maybe a full length album. But I will start working on that top of 23. So knowing me, it probably won't be ready until probably the end of 23 because I don't rush those things at all. But no, I love music. I love creating in the studio. I just love that whole vibe. So I'm gonna give the world another probably solid 8 songs.
That's amazing. Like I said, Mashonda, it's always a treat hearing from you, hearing new music from you, and I can't wait
Thank
to see
you.
what else you have in store for us. But before we get out of here, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Um, yes. Can you direct everyone to the note? It's note to selfep.com. I have everything there. I just launched it the other day, and it's like a very immersive website where you can watch all the videos, you could stream the music, their quotes, their behind the scene images from video shoots. The affirmations are there. It's a really, really dope website. So let's get some people to note to self ep.com.